Hello, everyone. Welcome to the blueandgold.com postgame show. Notre Dame defeats the North Carolina Tar Heels 44-34 inside Notre Dame Stadium. My name is Greg Ladke. I'm joined by our resident coach, Tim Hyde. Tim, let's get right to it. And I think the whole sports world is going to be talking about Kyren Williams' great 91-yard touchdown run. What did you think about that play and his performance overall?
Amazing. I mean, that run was, seriously. The Notre Dame historians are going to have to, go back a long way, right? They're going to have to go back. Is this going to be up there with what the 1936 run at Ohio State? You
Yeah.
always hear about that classic, but George Gipp. Seriously, that run was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Gets stopped in the backfield, changes direction, turns around. By the way, amazing block by Mike Mayer going down the sideline just to knock that guy and stay on that guy. A little hidden play real quick is Joe Alt, left tackle. He gets blown up inside leverage just a little bit, ends up pancaking his guy, just flat backing him. Kyren Williams cuts off of him and just bolts down the sideline. More importantly, seriously, just 15 minutes earlier, it's like, is he out for the season? The way he was holding his knee again. All you start thinking about is another guy's out. And for him to come back into that game a few minutes after being in the tent, getting x-rays, getting checked out, doc says, let's go play, and he goes 91. Absolutely amazing. Amazing football play.
I fixed the score, by the way, on the bottom. I had that 0-0. There's a lot of things we do in the 15.
Far from 0-0.
Yeah, so that's fixed. That's on me. But Notre Dame. It wasn't a 0-0 game. It was 44-34, as I said. I think I brought up the topic on our forum, like asking our subscribers, think of the greatest run you can think of. Is that? I know it's fresh in our minds, but is that the greatest run you've seen from a Notre Dame running back, Kyren Williams tonight?
Well, when you just throw in just pure effort, getting stopped, the moment in the game, because Notre Dame. We'll talk about the defense in a minute. Were they even on the field half of the night? It was. Just pure moment in the game to go. What was it? 91, 92 yards. It was. Unbelievable. Greatest run in ND history. Yeah, those guys are going to be looking. I got a handful fresh in my mind because you asked me about it. But
well, give me a few. Give me a few of them.
Well, I've been watching Notre Dame football since I was a little guy, and instantly for me, the first, my favorite run of all time is the Tony Rice keeper against SC. That's just, that's an all timer. That one, Kevin McDougal, 1993, the QB keeper against Michigan, and the huge upset. After the Under the Tarnished Dome book came out and Lou Holtz got those guys fired up in 93. And then, I was telling you earlier is, one of the hidden gems was the Ricky Watters 66-yarder against Tennessee in 1990 at Rocky Top. 116,000 people, and he silenced them on one play. And then just real quick is take any of Jerome Bettis's touchdown runs in the Sugar Bowl against number 3 Florida. When Joe Moore famously goes up to Lou Holtz at halftime and tells Coach Holtz, do not pass the ball the second half, meaning we're going to hammer these guys. And Bettis went and had, 3 50-plus yard touchdown runs in that second half against Florida. But those are just a few instant classics that come to mind for me.
Yeah, for me, I'm thinking Ray Zellers in 94 against Purdue. Is definitely one. The Reggie Brooks concussion run in 92 against Michigan was one. I was going to add the Rocket Ishmael had a great touchdown run in the game at Tennessee in 1990 as well.
He did.
And then Josh Adams has the longest run in Notre Dame Stadium. He did that way back in 2015 against Wake Forest. Remember his 98-yard touchdown run that like Kyren Williams, that included a pretty big stiff arm on that play as well. So
exactly. And that one just, he just shot out of a cannon. Just shot out of it. I saw someone on Twitter posted that one doesn't count because, you had all those great monster linemen up there. But this one was a little different because, once again, O-line changing. What is it? Their second straight game together. Really, third? When you go back to even Va Tech, so many of those. Real quick, the Zellers, that was the rain one, the mud one against Purdue, right?
Yeah, well, the only version I could find on YouTube of it, well, I shouldn't say it. The one I watched today, it was really grainy, but I recall that being kind of like a muddy game. So
I think it was a muddy game, and he just hammers it. I think his thigh, Ray Zellers was a stud. I think his thigh pad knocked a Purdue guy out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those big old thighs.
Well,
And
please hit like on this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You do that by hitting the little blue and gold icon on the bottom right of the video player. And if you do that, you can partake in our chat, drop us some questions. We, of course, love super chats. We already have one in, and we have, Tim, a whole bunch of questions. And we were actually planning on talking about this near the top was, and I'll just phrase it like this. Does Notre Dame have a tackling problem?
yeah, because they don't tackle. so sure, you have a tackling problem. It was. I mean, let's be honest. It was bad. It was bad. Was it? As the coach looks at it, is it tired legs? Obviously, once again, a massive emotional game a week ago against your rival in SC. Coming back, do it again against. Howell's going to be a top. I mean, come on. He's going to be a top 10, 15 draft pick. The guy's unbelievable. He is absolutely unbelievable quarterback. So was there a tackling problem? Sure. You're playing an extra DB that usually wouldn't be on the field because you got a top 5 NFL draft pick on the sideline.
Right.
How about, I'm more curious about the linebacker play. I'm looking forward to going back watching this because it seemed like, I would love to see the numbers of plays. It didn't seem like Bauer was out there a lot. I thought Bertrand played a ton. Drew White, missed out. I don't know. It seemed like 40 was always just always short arming everything. Drew White out there. Were those guys a little tired legs because they played so much football because they really haven't played any of the backups this year when it comes to linebackers. It's just been those same couple guys and whatnot. And it was sloppy. It was bad. It was, bad at times last week. It was bad at times at Va Tech. I think a lot of it just comes down to the personnel, the guys you have out there. You don't have a bunch of freakish DBs. I'll be very honest with you, right? So you got a bunch of makeshift guys that are playing their tails off, playing hard as could be out there in the secondary. And there was a lot of missed tackles out there. You cannot hide around that fact today at all.
What would you say about Jack Coan's play?
Solid. Seriously, solid. The only bad pass was that 3 and out they had in the third quarter where he bounces at the Mayer and you saw him kicking himself like, he has Mayer open and he bounce passes it. 16 of 24. I thought, he was efficient. It was an interesting game. They really didn't take too many deep shots. Once again, a lot of quick stuff, get the ball out on the perimeter very quick, very fast. Did not take a bunch of shots. They had the one, obviously, to Styles. How does he not catch that ball? But, it's behind him a hair. You could be picky there and there. That's one that guy's going to be, catching here over the next few years. But it was solid. But solid passing, unbelievable running. Who would have thought that? He looked better running the ball than Tyler Buchner today, right? Just come on, QB draw, and then you get a quarterback scramble. Which, by the way, the protection on the quarterback scramble was absolutely perfect. There was no pressure. He just tucks it in. He sees them all bailing because no one fears Jack Coan, and the son of a gun runs it in for a touchdown. So running the ball, unbelievable. What did he have running the ball?
Coan had 4 rushes for 28 yards and that 21-yard TD. And to your point also, North Carolina only had 1 sack on the day and 4 total tackles for loss. So definitely a much more functional performance in that regard too for Notre Dame.
I was going to add, that was one of my questions I wanted to, ask on the stats was the TFLs. I think they only had 1 until those last drives or 2 where they were in the red zone. And instead of hammering it straight away, it just felt like they're trying to bounce it too much. It's like, go straight away. And they had a couple TFLs. Notre Dame's, I thought O-line played outstanding. They had the 1 sack, which once again, Coan stepped in. The sack against Va Tech, he steps into it. He literally walks into Kane Madden's guy tonight. And that was the only sack that he got. So the last 2 sacks the O-line's given up the last 3 games has been Jack Coan walking into him.
Yeah.
Great point right here. By the way, I'm sorry.
And you kind of answered already, but we'll talk about it again. And Jim McCarthy is one of our loyal viewers, and thank you for the super chat. He just asked, points out tackling's an issue. And he asks, is that a sign of a tired team?
It's hard to say tired when you're coming off a bye and things of that nature. It's that emotion. It's emotion. The guys played their tails off. They were running around. They were flying around. There was no one taking taking plays off. I thought the Notre Dame defense brought it. They played they played as hard as they could. They missed a lot of tackles. They
Yeah.
really did miss a lot of tackles, but some of those were literally scheme as well. I mean, some scheme issues, guys trying to run outside in to make a tackle and whiff. Um, I would love to count the missed tackles on Hal. I mean, it's got to be 18 to 24
200.
total. I mean, seriously, I mean, it's got to be in the 20s on just him alone. I mean, there must have been 3 or 4 sacks where I mean, how much does that guy squat?
Yeah.
Even at the end, the one with Botello hanging on him, Hal just rips it off still. And they had another one earlier where he broke out of a sack. A lot of it, I think, has to do with Sam Howell. If there was a lesser quarterback that they played today, meaning athletic ability, a guy, I mean, Sam Howell's going to be an NFL first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
If they played anyone with a pinch lesser athletic ability, ND probably has 6, 7 sacks tonight.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a freak show. I think. And just real quick about the North Carolina's old line, talking about a tired team, I would say they were a little bit tired, especially up front when they weren't getting the great pass rush.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been saying, "Oh, just sit in the 4-man front." Well, they were sitting in a 4-man front and they weren't getting anywhere. In North Carolina, I think I saw a stat a couple of days ago where, their O-line has given up 90 sacks the last 3 years. So what did ND have today? They had 3 sacks.
3 sacks. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, if they were playing a guy with just a pinch lesser ability, that thing's up to 7 or 8. They were all over him. They just couldn't get him down.
And there was at least one case, Osafa Mensa had what was first regarded as a sack, and that was changed to a TFL. It was like a yard or 2 loss. But yeah, quick tip of the hat to Sam Howell: 341 yards passing, 101 yards on the ground. I mean, he was nothing short of awesome.
He's unbelievable. I mean, he's on pace to run for 1,000 yards. He's on pace to run for 1,000 yards. That guy's a legit quarterback. Say whatever you want. He's an outstanding football player.
And he was just like that in high school too. He's he's in the Charlotte area. I'm down here, and I saw him play both his junior and senior year, and he was an awesome runner, and he was a live arm, throw it all over the field type guy. And
he could chuck it. Look at the one touchdown pass where they do the fake screen and go. He throws that thing on a dime to that guy that Notre Dame just, I guess they didn't feel like covering him on that play. Yeah. That guy was just running free like it's on air at practice there in Chapel Hill. That was a bad play. We'll get to that.
and Sam Howell, one last point. He's been running the same offense for 7 years now. I mean, he ran the same offense in high school. RPO, hard on the slants, a lot of keeping and carrying the ball. So we have another super chat. Yeah, another super chat from Patrick Barnes. Seemed like not having Hamilton tonight cost us on NC's deep shots. Was that Rees' best game calling this season? He really mixed up well. So a 2-part question, but that's fine. And thank you, Patrick, for the super chat.
It seemed like not having Hamilton tonight. Deep shot. I mean, they went deep. I mean, they definitely took some deep shots. Those guys were good. I mean, that slot. I mean, back-to-back weeks. You got London on the outside and you got Downs on the slot. I mean, Notre Dame secondary's just got to be going crazy. And by the way, they were rotating like crazy at the nickel. You had Henderson on him for a while. They took Bracey off of him for a while when he got blown up on one of the middle screens. So they were, they were all trying to cover that guy. But the deep shots, the one I just referenced a few seconds ago, just Coach Mickens. At first, when you first watch it, it looks like Henderson blows it. Coach Mickens is just chewing out Hart on the sideline, just like, the coach language, like, are you kidding me? How did you not read that correctly? Yeah. So Mickens was all over Hart. So it looks like Hart blew that coverage by just, body language and the way Mickens was talking. So communication, they played a ton of 6 DBs tonight all over the field, which was interesting because that's 6 DBs without a top 5 NFL draft choice. So they were playing their 7th guy, so to speak, out there a ton tonight. And then what was the other part of the super chat real quick? It was
I should go back to that. He wanted to know about basically Tommy Rees's play calling.
Hey, I think Rees has had a rhythm a ton this year.
Yeah.
Seriously, he's had a rhythm. He was throwing on first downs. The one thing they did not do a lot of tonight, and I chart these as the game goes on, was RPOs. They must have thrown, they did about a dozen of them, true RPOs, where you're kind of like Sam Howell. You're reading, you're looking at numbers, you're counting. If there's numbers, you throw to the outside. They were in low single digits tonight, maybe 3-4 at the most from what I was charting. So
Mm.
that was a little take, but I think they knew offensively they could attack UNC, and they just came out and just slammed the ball and went to the perimeter really good.
I'm just posting some questions from
Sure.
viewers about our defense. I want to ask you specifically, Tim,
Great
about
questions here.
the end of the first half, and you and I were talking about they were going 3 down linemen and just seemingly allowing North Carolina to run the ball. What was your impression of what Notre Dame was trying to do there?
Yeah, hit pause and not watch it. It was, but you know what? They have done this a lot lately. Cincinnati, boom, goes right down the field right before halftime,
Yeah.
touchdown. Just boom, get 80-yard touchdown drive. Vatek lets Vatek goes right after Buchner had just gone down, scored, taken the lead, going into halftime. Defense lets Vatek go straight down the field. Boom, gets 3 points. And then obviously same thing tonight. They take the lead, they let them go right down right before halftime, give them 3 points. In the yeah, it wasn't so much the 3-man front as it was the dime. They had 6 DBs. You only have 5 in the box.
Right.
You only have 5 guys in the box, and Sam Howell, once again, that's the whole system that UNC's running. Is they're going to count numbers, and they were just gashing Notre Dame. Notre Dame's D line was not getting off blocks. Great question right here that Mike says right here. Couldn't get off blocks exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the D line is the strength of this football team. Then where are the pushes? Where are the tackle for losses? Where's the getting off blocks, wrecking havoc? It just seemed like they missed a lot of tackles tonight.
Thomas Kemp asked a question about the red zone offense, and there were times where I know Notre Dame had to settle for short field goals, and maybe that's the one gripe I'd had with Tommy Rees was the play calling, and you mentioned Tim bumping out to the outside with runs instead of just pounding it in there.
Well, I mean, Diggs jumps over the pile like, Walter Payton. It's like, just do that again. And Kyren Williams bumps outside. I thought a couple times, I think they get too cute sometimes with Buchner.
Mhm.
Buchner, you know what? Give him the ball. Let him run quarterback power. Seriously. He's a heck of he's a running back. Give him the ball, run quarterback power. You don't need the fakes. You don't need all these things. Get him the ball, hammer it straight ahead. The offense, that's 2 games in a row. They've had first and goal, and they've had to settle for field goals after turnovers.
Right.
Bo Bauer gets the interception. They have to settle for a field goal, first and goal. Tonight, they get a great call, by the way, on first down. Just to go back to Coach Rees there on the reverse to Davis to get him first and goal after the interception there. Unbelievable call there. Just knock him off guard. Davis gets him inside the 10. You got first and goal, and you got to settle for a field goal again. And it just keeps teams alive instead of just hammering in there, going straight ahead, run right at him, especially when Notre Dame was having the momentum up front. But, one thing they really haven't done a lot of is maybe an under center, a play action. Where's Mayer? Michael Mayer, you don't see him too much inside the 10 when he's just a grown man out there sometimes. And maybe trips wide side. Mayer, they dupe up Michael Mayer into the boundary a lot. Have not seen it a lot once they get in the red zone, just matched up one-on-one. Hey, good luck covering him in the red zone. So that could be a little something as they move forward.
Make sure you like our video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you subscribe via the little blue and gold icon and on the bottom right of the video, you can join our chat and ask us a question or just chat with other Notre Dame fans. Paul Mercer brings up a point that was on our sheet of things to talk about, is just Logan Diggs. Super impressed with him. Seems super mature for a freshman.
Yes, that's what they talked about that, in the Vatek afterwards with Coach Kelly and whatnot. It's just patience. Mm-hmm. He's not in a hurry. He's running that pause, which we talked about last week, where some of the people in the chat were asking about, why is Notre Dame pausing in the SC running back last week? It's that Le'Veon Bell. Just, take what you get, cut. These guys have so much trust and ability in how to run the football, where Logan Diggs could just cut on a dime. He had a couple of heck of a runs today, and a few of his inside runs down in the red zone were tough, physical as well. But Diggs, he could catch. He looks like he's going to be a bigger Kyren Williams is what he's going to do. As he keeps growing in the weight room, he's going to be a good football player. He's got to be the number 2 guy. Tyrese, I don't know. He's probably not healthy with the turf toe.
Yeah,
Tyrese still has a lot of ability. What's that?
I think he was dressed, though. Notre Dame didn't announce.
He was dressed. Well, he was on kickoff. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, he was on kickoff return. And
Oh yeah.
Coach Kelly did talk about this week where, if he's good, he's going to be on kickoff return. We're still working on his cut.
Mhm.
But Diggs as a running back is much better than Chris Tyree when it comes to inside
Yeah.
physicality type runs. Tyree's the speed guy, get to the edge and go. Diggs is definitely a different type of ball player than
We
Tyree.
we have Drunk Vigo, just our killer
Yeah.
instinct. I think we touched upon just like there were definitely opportunities Notre Dame missed to make that a 3-score game.
Yeah, well, yes, without a doubt. And I don't think it's so much a killer instinct as is in just tired legs, a few of those things, the emotional game, all those things. It's
Yeah.
not excuses, but they do happen. They do come up. They do matter on a football team and whatnot. Had this game been in the afternoon, which we talked about in our final thoughts on Friday, yesterday, Greg, is whoever made this a night game to get the energy and the
Yeah.
atmosphere going, give them a pay raise, give them a high five, say thank you, because if this was one of those 2 o'clock kickoffs, maybe the atmosphere, the flatness, and things of that nature, this is a different outcome if NC comes with the energy that they did tonight.
Yeah, maybe the tackling might have even been worse, which is hard to imagine, but it could have been. We had a couple people ask about Lorenzo Styles. Tim McCarthy did. Mike Reddy as well. Yeah, he's an Ohio kid from a very good high school program. Not a surprise to me that he can come in and contribute early.
Well, Styles, like you said, big time football program out there in Ohio. I think CJ Williams coming from Mater Day, the exact same type of guy. Maybe not the flat out blazing speed, but when you go get guys coming in from big time programs that are tailor made to come in and play right away as freshmen, get them on the field.
Mhm.
CJ Williams is going to be that next year out of Mater Day. But Styles, that's a couple games in a row now where they've hit him on some just, I call them smoke passes where he's just boom, just throwing him right on the line, get a block, let him go. Yeah, he's electric. I thought he was going to take off on one of those. I mean, he was a foot away from just bursting tonight. He's going to get one.
Coach Hyde, I know you're an offensive line guy, and you've touched upon it a little bit, but I want to give you the chance to give a more fuller evaluation of what you've seen after watching the game live.
Physical. I thought it was a physical football game. Not too many going back to the tackles for losses. They only had one. I know you said the stats line says 4. Those were a couple the red zone ones when they're UNC's putting 15 guys in the box, so to speak.
Mhm.
But they only had one, and that was Madden got blown backwards horribly on a play early in the game. But overall, it's a group. For some reason, these 5 are clicking. They're
Yep.
communicating better. There's a couple inside run plays. For Christophic, I go back to maybe Christophic needed an extra month just to learn that. He had his press conference this week where he was on the players because he's been playing tackle forever, and they just moved him inside this past spring. So Christophic's been a couple years learning offensive tackle, and he just learned guard center in the spring and in the fall. So he's
Mhm.
still learning. So maybe it took him the first month, but I'll tell you what, he is good. That guy is a heck of a football player. He's turning into possibly their second best player the last 2 games outside of Patterson. His get off is good. He had a nice pancake on one block. The pass protection, he picks up a blitz early I think it was their second touchdown drive. I have to go back and look. A blitzer, he comes off of a guy, just boom, flat backs the blitzer. Christophic's coming along. Seriously, what more can you say about this kid?
Yeah.
He's playing tight end last year. He's the 4th string offensive left tackle this year. They're going to redshirt him. They're going to put him in a weight program and a feeding program, just make him a monster next season. And all of a sudden they put 45 on him. He gets the big pancake on Kyren Williams 50-plus yard run at the end of the Purdue game. Next thing you know, he's playing left tackle. He's doing more and more. Now he's basically the starter the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And he's been inserted since the second half at Cincinnati, and all outstanding. You go back to the camera angle that NBC has where they show it from a high above, behind the quarterback, and you just see some of the protections. Those 5 guys are working together. They are working together, and it's clicking right now.
Yeah, I want to point out a couple figures. Notre Dame ends up with 293 rushing yards. Obviously, Kyren Williams had the 91 yarder, but even if you take away,
Yeah,
I'm just doing some quick math in my head here. They would have had 202 rushing yards off of 41 carries, which that still would have been about five with the sack adjusted yards per
sure.
carry, just regular yards per carry. They would have been around five. That would have been their best figure this year, and they end up averaging 7 or 7.2 yards per rush, depending on how you figure in the sack adjustment. But yeah, that obviously crushed their best figure this year. But even without that Kyren Williams run, they statistically would have had their best rushing performance of the year. So yeah, I mean, no doubt the offensive line is settling in.
Well, there must have been 6, 7 runs tonight that went for just 9 to 12 yards. A 9-yard here, a couple 12s here, an 8 here. Some physical runs. Yeah, I mean the 91 yarder is great, but like you said, you take away that, you still run for 200 yards. It's still their best rushing performance of the season. But
Yep.
now you're going back to the last 3 games, 170 plus yards, 3 straight games now since they've made the switch with this offensive line, and this unit is working good. And I think the key, and Coach Kelly's talked about this, is Jared Patterson. It's freeing him up. He trusts these guys. They're just communicating it, and the communication was with their hands and their feet, the way they're locking on and being able to scoop off with guys. They're
Yep.
just working really well together, and I think Patterson is the beneficiary of that.
We could look a little bit ahead to Navy next week, right? We have several questions about Navy in our channel. I actually watched their game against Tulsa last night. Navy did win. They played super clean, like didn't fumble the ball or didn't do anything like that. No penalties, so they're starting to play cleaner ball. It'll be interesting. I don't think they have like a superstar quarterback or fullback, which is usually the key to them having a really good offense, but they're playing better than they were the first month of the season for sure. It'll be a different style of team, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know the history of Navy and they saved us. I get it. I'm one of those guys. It's like, hey, can we get Mendoza and some of the Notre Dame boosters write a check and say, here's your next 50 years, and we don't play them. I just look at it as I hate. I've coached defense forever, and
Yeah,
all you ever worry about is knees. I remember Bryant Young against Air Force. I believe it was 91 when he got his knees chopped out and boom, missed the rest of the season. Notre Dame's had some guys get hurt in this game.
yeah,
It's one of those frustrating games because you're Notre Dame. You got to play it. We know we're better than you, but you got to be mentally in it for 60 minutes because
yeah,
those guys don't quit.
yeah,
They just don't quit, and they keep coming at you. And it's the triple option. It's the unbalances. It's the fly motions, the jets. It's 100 different things you got to do,
yeah.
and it's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to do. And the key is obviously Coach Kelly talks about all this time is you got to score. You got to score when you get the ball. You got to score.
hmm Um, yeah, I mean, I agree with Robin Dennis here. I think that Notre Dame needs to be a better tackling team if they're going to win out for the rest of the season. I mean, that's sort of stuff's going to catch up to them.
Oh,
Um,
without a doubt. It's the second. I mean, once again, it's the secondary. There's a lot of stuff in the perimeter. And I think a lot of it goes back is the linebackers. Those guys, Bertrand, White have played a lot of plays. So, but real quick in the DB thing is, obviously, everyone knows Kyle Hamilton didn't play, but they had to play Isaiah Pryor out there.
yeah,
Isaiah Pryor's been playing linebacker all
yeah,
season long. He's been really good in the box, really good at blitzing. He's been a difference maker, tighter to the line of scrimmage. Today, he's playing over the top. He's playing deep. They even had him on downs a few times. He was all over the place running with guys. So, you basically moved a linebacker to safety, which is not ideal. And but obviously they trust him, but it's also a numbers thing. So one thing real quick is I would love to hear, as we're learning the offensive guys, there's a lot of freshmen playing. How is none of those DBs, those freshman DBs, just one of them has
yeah.
not cracked a too deep to be able to get on the field? Is it just there's just too many checks, as we learned by Cam Hart, Ramon Henderson blowing that deep pass today? Is there just too many things these guys can't pick up? Um, uh,
I don't
because
know.
there's tons of freshmen playing on the offense.
Yeah, and I know Philip Riley was someone they started talking about early
You
in
know,
campus, someone that they thought was doing well, and he's a stronger kid from a build standpoint. You think maybe he'd be a candidate to play
and
as a
he's
true
on
freshman.
he's been playing some special teams this year, so he's gotten some field
Yeah.
work, I believe. So,
So
but
yeah,
that's just, I mean, they signed a bunch of DBs and not one of them's been out there. So it's interesting that they have to put a outside backer back there to give him some extra guys.
we have a couple more broader macro questions about the Notre Dame program. I'll try to throw up here, or just comments. Is from St. Martin 009. This team is not at the caliber of Alabama or Georgia, but that is pretty obvious. I think that's obvious for almost every team in college football this year in particular.
I mean, what is it? Georgia has been behind for 11 plays this year.
Yeah,
11 plays, not minutes. 11 plays.
yeah,
They have 350-pound D tackles that run 4.8s.
hmm
They're I watched some of the Florida game today, and I mean, it is unbelievable. Some of those guys. I know they recruited Nolan Smith, the linebacker.
yeah,
He's on a different planet.
yeah,
Those guys at Georgia, whoever, if someone beats them, kudos. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who's going to beat those guys. You could talk about Alabama, the SEC championship game, all that stuff. That team is legit,
Yeah.
But what this guy's saying, yeah, of course they're not on the same caliber because those guys got a lot of 5 stars,
Mhm.
and it's not so much about numbers and rankings and all those things. Don't want it, but still, at the end of the day, if you have 35 stars and only half of them pan out, that's 15.
It's still 50. Yeah.
Okay. And if you're Notre Dame and you have 5 and only 2 pan out, so you're going 2 versus their 20. So it's like, do the math. Yeah, those guys are on a different planet. They just are.
Yeah, there's something else. Now, if you want to follow Notre Dame football recruiting, you got to follow Mike Singer. And we're going to be talking this week. Their class of 2023 is a class that could eventually have a couple 5 stars in it as well. So,
Yeah, can Notre Dame, real quick, can Notre Dame get the Keeley kid like now?
yeah, there's other publications that have him as a 5 star. I mean, so yeah,
Oh,
he's
unbelievable, that kid. I first saw film on him a few months ago, just real quick, and I texted Mike Singer. I was like, this guy could play right now.
yeah.
I mean, seriously, Michael Mayer was that type of guy as a junior where he could play at Notre Dame today. And that Keeley guy is a freak.
Jamie McNeil asked, "Did I see Kelly and Freeman tearing into each other on the sidelines?" I saw discussions, and I got to admit, like I'm often not watching between plays because I'm notes or like
Mhm.
I cut photos during the game and do things that sometimes don't even make it on this show.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Did you see them tearing into each other?
No. If it was anything, it's probably a couple conversations. Freeman looked frustrated tonight. Yeah, he was a D coordinator who looked like he had some tired guys. He was a D coordinator that the D line probably didn't dominate, which everyone's thought. I mean, I wrote down on my pregame thing was Notre Dame. The D line. If Notre Dame's going to win this game going away, the D line is just going to just own the game. I don't think they did.
Right.
So I think he was frustrated. He's playing some guys out there in a lot of positions, a lot of spots. I mean, he doesn't have Kyle Hamilton, who is their ringleader, but you know what? Kyle Hamilton, I mean, let's be truthful here. Why would he come back? I mean, seriously,
Yeah. No, I agree.
unless he's 100%. Unless he's 100%, speaking for the Virginia game, he's not playing against Navy. No way in heck. But maybe the Virginia game, since they throw the ball 60 times a game, is he healthy enough?
hmm
But at the same time, that's why I go back to my comment I made just 2 minutes ago. Is there a freshman that's coming on? Because I always look at it as who's going into spring football. Who's taking the field? Columbus, Ohio. Is DJ Brown going to be back? Is it going to be Houston Griffith? Is he going to come back for a fifth year because he's got the free COVID year? And this is really his first year starting. Obviously, DJ Brown playing a ton as well. Bracy, is he going to come back with a free year? That now that he's playing more and more. Cam Hart, this is his first year being a guy. It's not making excuses or anything, but they don't. I mean, there's just some dudes out there that he's probably frustrated with. And I know I texted you in the middle of the game, like, I was expecting a ton of 3-3 questions so far. And one of those things though is Coach Freeman needs to give. You got to give this guy some kudos because there's not a lot of high end, with the guy just asked about Bama and Georgia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's doing it with a little bit of smoke and mirrors at times
Yeah.
on defense with some of these guys. JD Bertrand's never played till this year. You know, Mike Goolsby talks about Drew White all the time about missed tackles, bad fits, blitzing and running into the center of guards, which is basically a wasted blitz. It seems like as every other time Drew White blitzes. It is true. He's done a lot with a little, I think, at times.
Yeah, and I would also add it's his first year. The players,
Yes.
even though they talked all offseason in the camp about how much easier they thought Marcus Freeman's
Hmm.
defensive scheme was and how it let them play free, that's what every team says when they get a new
Sure.
coordinator
Yeah.
every time. And so I would, it's possible that they're still trying to figure some things out a little bit and aren't quite firing on all cylinders. So,
Oh
um,
yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. But if you go back to Coach Freeman's defenses at Cincy, first one was bad, boom, and then they just got better and better. And you want to look at Coach Freeman's defense. Look at the one that Notre Dame faced this year with Cincinnati. Those are his guys. That's his scheme. That's his D. Him and Coach Fickle built that. That Notre Dame will take that defense any day at Cincinnati.
I forgot, I want to ask you a question about, we haven't really talked too much about Tyler Buchner, but that first touchdown pass, do you think that was an audible? And if it
It
was,
sure did
that's
look,
pretty mature
yeah.
play by him.
Sure do. I mean, he was, mature because the way he was communicating, talking, pause. It almost looked like he was faking it in a way. You know what I mean? Trying to stay so calm. No one sees that he's changing it. But no, I took a quick screenshot of it, and you count the numbers. He counted the numbers, and they
Yep.
had an overshift into the boundary because what does he run? The quarterback run into the boundary with the tight end cutting back and him following the tight end and things of that nature. He counted it. He saw three on three out there, get a block, make one move, touchdown, and that's what Davis did. I mean, he counted it. He changed it on the line. Boom, boom, boom. Throw it out there. Walk in touchdown. That was definitely an audible by Buchner.
I actually thought he would have more success running the ball today. We talked before the
Yep.
game about how running quarterbacks have had a lot of success against North Carolina this year. Jordan Travis at Florida State ripped them up. So did Sims at Georgia Tech. Excuse me, Travis at Florida State, and then Sims at Georgia Tech. And so I
Yeah.
think that's why we saw Buchner a lot early, and he still did fine.
Mhm.
But I was thinking maybe he would be like
There was
MVP level.
there was a counter. There was a counter. They ran back to the right. And I thought Buchner was he saw one guy and he cuts back inside where everyone was inside. I thought if he just kept running, they followed the counter.
Yeah.
Mayer didn't get around good enough on the block, but if he just followed him and scooted to the right, I thought he was going to be gone. So, and that sometimes Buchner does cut back so much instead of just running straight ahead and just go at it. But yeah, with Buchner, once again, four wides, go QB ISO. Do
Yeah.
some of the things that Hal did. They did not do that too much today.
Yeah, Buckner was 2 of 2 passing for 17 yards. That early touchdown to Avery Davis, a 7-yarder. Officially had 4 rushes for 16 yards. So still impactful. But when Coan's playing well, it's also hard to say, hey, Tyler,
Sure.
go have 30
No,
reps.
exactly. I mean, they had a good rhythm. They had O-line played his tail off, but they had 3 false starts today.
Yeah,
And on one of those false starts, which killed the drive, they ran an RPO. It was a read play with Buchner, and he has the running back wide open for a dump pass. It's probably going to be a huge gain. He's out there alone on a RPO because everyone's attacking Buchner, and he had a false start, took that play away. That's what set him back all of a sudden. Instead of a first down midfield, it's 1st and 15. That was a killer. But yeah, 3 false starts today by the O-line.
good point brought up here by Mike Sloan, because I think it's valid. I want to ask you from your coaching experience, Coach Hayes, how much can you improve tackling during the week? Like, if you're Notre Dame, what do you do to address this problem here in the short term?
Fundamentals. They tackle every day. There's always a tackling circuit. You're going to do a turnover circuit, a fumble circuit. These guys are constantly doing these things, and they're constantly stressing it. Just comes down to some ability at times. At the end of the day, it does come down to some ability. I would guess, a third of Hal's runs tonight were just lost contain. I
Mhm.
wrote down, I got my notes right here. I wrote lost contain, lost contain. It's like the ends are doing so many stunts and a guy doesn't get outside, or they're trying to blitz too much and that guy, the end's not out there, or vice versa. They ran a bunch of corner blitzes. They had to run a lot of corner blitzes in a long time. They ran about 3 or 4 of them in this game, which is a lot for a game to run that many, cat fires off the boundary. They ran a bunch, but yeah, I mean, you just keep working on it. But I think a lot of it wasn't so much missed tackles as it was just some contain at times. And I mean, obviously there was some missed tackles, but Hal, I mean, that dude's got some legs. I mean,
Yeah.
he broke tackles. Outstanding athlete, and the slot is slippery as there could be. That guy is good football player.
Just I think a valid point is certainly with the Josh Downs catch early in the game. The over the shoulder one was they did get 2 big plays off of what appeared to be picks. Those things happen.
Yes,
I mean
yes. I mean
the
the one real quick, the Downs were the big tight end, and he just ear holes the Notre Dame guy. I mean, come on, that was a pick times 10.
yeah.
It's like unbelievable. But they did a great job. I love the middle screen schemes that they did. Him at the slot coming back in
Oh
was
yeah.
outstanding.
Oh that
Outstanding schemes by UNC tonight.
that last one that Downs drop, I don't want to call it
Oh,
drop, but it was kind of that's
yeah,
a touchdown if he catches
I
that. There
know,
was no
I
one,
know.
and that was a
Well, they had
huge.
another one, UNC, because Notre Dame did not blitz SC a lot last week. They only had a handful. Tonight, they were bringing Katie Bar to the door, man. I mean, they were coming at it tonight. They had one, Bauer obviously gets a nice play on the wheel route, and then Bertrand, he's beat. They
Yeah,
do a corner or a safety blitz. Bertrand's got to pick up the wheel route, which is JD Bertrand probably does not want to run with wheel routes, and
yeah.
the guy's open, but the pressure got to Hal, and Hal couldn't see it. So there's the camera angle where they show it from the quarterback, and the guy's running wide open for a touchdown. So
Yeah.
that was a nice break for ND on that one.
And how about Bo Bauer early in the game covering that wheel
Yeah,
route? That was a super athletic play. He covered a ton of
super
ground.
athletic. Yeah, exactly. But that's in the scheme where they buzz the flats right away, and they and you cover whoever's first to the flat, and Bauer runs with them going like crazy. Bo Bauer can run. But great point right here that Sam says. NC has
100%.
2 weeks of 2 weeks.
Yep.
Everybody gets 2 weeks.
Against Notre Dame.
Everybody.
Really. Yeah.
Didn't Michael Mayer, was that Michael Mayer in the press conference this week who laughed about that, saying, isn't that just the way the schedules are set now? Everyone gets 2 weeks to play us.
Yeah. I mean, at some point you wonder if Notre Dame keeps winning, but there's
Yeah.
certainly some advantage to that.
Oh, without a doubt. Because you get rest, you get the scheme, you just get more film study. A huge advantage, no matter what anyone says. It is an advantage.
Thanks again, Mr. McCarthy, for the super chat. And yeah, I think we agree. I mean, the tackling was an issue, and they didn't adjust, change how they're trying to tackle Sam Howell either, which was frustrating.
Yeah. My biggest thing as a longtime defensive football coach is the contain. They got beat on contain sometimes. Like, guys, just one dude's out there, because contain, it keeps you in the pocket, keeps you condensed. Most sacks, when you watch the NFL, and going back to Georgia, most of their sacks are when quarterbacks can't get outside. They got to leak back in, and then you got to twist a game, a middle linebacker blitzing or whatnot. You clean it up inside the tackle box. Hal was getting outside because they were losing contain a lot.
Right. Well, Tim, I was going to point out we had a user actually keeping us updated. Notre Dame's opponent 2 weeks from now, Virginia, is currently playing. They're up 35-31 on BYU, according to my Yahoo Sports app.
Oh, wow.
Late
Playing
in the second.
BYU. So where's that game at real quick? Is that because that's obviously Mendenhall's old program there at BYU.
Yeah, out at BYU. BYU it looks like they just scored, so they're back up. But anyway, that's on ESPN2. I think we're done for the night. We got a great participation from our users. I'll let any Notre Dame fans that still want to have an extra beer or a Guinness and want to watch a little bit more football, go do that on ESPN2. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch a little bit of Virginia tonight and wrap this stuff up.
That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing them because I know they sling that thing all over the place. So, hey, overall, it's a great win. Notre Dame got through this little stretch right here, obviously with Cincy, Vautech, SC, North Carolina, 3-1 against the hardest stretch here, right?
Right.
Now you get that, that downward spiral, hunker down, work on the fundamentals people are talking about, offense. real quick on offense tonight was tempo.
Mhm.
Once again, they're going tempo. The faster they go, the faster Coan gets in a rhythm. They get moving along, things of that nature. So keep marching towards a New Year's Six game. That's the way you got to do it.
Another super chat from Chipper Deckbo, just posting this here. We've talked a lot about this, but maybe just again your thoughts, Tim, about their run defense over the last 2 games, and maybe introducing other players again on the field.
Yeah, I mean, yes. SC's not known as a gashing running team. SC had some nice runs. Great, heck of a running back. People forget that guy was a big time recruit, went to Texas and transferred last week at SC. Same thing here, real quick. They they ran the ball a heck of a lot more. I thought they were going to chuck the ball 45 some odd time. I thought Sam Howell was just going to sling it all over the place. They came out, they ran the ball, but that goes back to this. Everyone in Notre Dame talking about preseason, through the season, spring, fall, everything was like the D line, the D line, the D line. Then the D line rotates so many guys. They're playing 8, 9 guys. So those guys should be fresh. The D line needs to step up, get off blocks, more tackles for losses, more collapsed pockets, keep better contained. The D line needs to step up for this defense and this team, and just keep marching forward.
Triple Deckbo, thank you so much again for the super chat. Nice comments for us, Tim. We
We'll
love
take them.
doing it. This is fun, and we're more than happy. And who isn't awake anyway after a game? Like you're fired up, of
Hey.
course, after a Notre Dame victory. I mean, why not?
Hey.
Why not share it with everyone on the World Wide Web?
Back-to-back midnight, or actually, the last 3 games going back to Vautech. My gosh, when do we get to do one of these at 5 p.m. and have a nice dinner?
I know. Navy, by the way, I want to mention, I just looked it up. They only passed 3 times last night in their game.
Yeah, they're not going to throw.
Yeah,
they're not going to throw. But when they throw, it's those special trick wheel routes and stuff like that. So, hey, it's Navy week. Let's go out there. Notre Dame, Jack Coan in the offense, score every time. Let's handle business, and let's get ready to close this season out.
Absolutely. I'm going to go watch Virginia. They're down now 38-35 to BYU. Tim, thanks again, man. Your expertise is awesome. You can read a lot of Tim's expertise on our forum at blueandgold.com, our premium forum. He drops by all the time with some breakdowns of specific plays and whatnot. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like the video, please. Feel free to add more comments after we're off the air. And we'll see you guys next week.
You got it. Look forward. Thanks.
All right.